Welcome back to the Horse Racing Show, episode 23. It was not that long ago, about episode 4 or 5 or something, that he found his way to the bunker, and he's back, and we're delighted to have my great friend and terrific writer, Lenny Shulman from the BloodHorse, and the author of one of the best books I've ever read on horse racing called Justify. Welcome back.
Thank you. They took the street signs down even. Now it's really anonymous.
Well, camouflage next time you come.
Thank God I've got a self-storage unit down the street, so I knew where I was coming. That's where I keep all the spare books.
And they're flying off the shelf.
They're flying out.
I got to tell you,
they're flying out of the storage shed. I got a cottage industry going.
And here it is. I think this sums it all up. Expertly told by Lenny Shulman, a terrific writer who was there every step of the way. So says one Bob Baffert, Hall of Fame trainer of Justify.
Now, has Bob been on the show?
Bob has been on the show.
Yes, he must have been.
Yeah, Bob was on. He gave a great interview. Not that I'm putting any pressure on you.
No, he gives good talk.
But you were there. You were there from the start. You were actually there kind of accidentally bumped into Justify.
Thanks to Bob, yeah. I mean, we had done a big interview together, and I'm packing my crap up to get out of his hair finally. Go, hey, you want to go see the Derby winner? This is 2 months before the Derby.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Bob, I'll walk with you to see the Derby winner. Sure. And sure enough, he takes me to see Justify. So that was the beginning of my fascination and connection with this horse. And as we've said, whoever has had the treat to see this horse live doesn't forget it, because he is a magnificent specimen. And if you go out to Ashford today even, getting on a year, even after he was an actual athlete, he will still take your breath away.
He's the only horse I can remember that gained weight and gained muscle throughout the Triple Crown. He was bigger in the Preakness, bigger in the Belmont. I remember Jimmy Barnes said, I never have to worry about his feed bucket. Jimmy Barnes is a longtime great assistant to Bob Baffert. He said, never have to worry about his feed bucket.
Yeah, after the Preakness, Umberto Gomez, I believe, the exercise rider, was in charge of bringing the dinner around. And it was late at night after that Preakness with the fog and everything, and they were worried, that maybe too much had come out at Justify and he had given too much. And he said that horse was screaming when he heard that feed coming. He was like, bring that over here now. It's an amazing specimen. Yeah, I think when they weighed him after the Triple Crown, they got him back to Santa Anita. I think he had lost 3 pounds over the entire three-race segment.
Which just doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
I mean, it's amazing. He was, I don't know if we're ever going to see anything like it again, 111 days. I don't think in my lifetime I'm going to see a horse be that great for 111 days and shatter everything about unraced 2-year-olds doing well and all that. I don't know.
Yeah, we've just been through, the 2019 Triple Crown, and I think the one thing that stands out is just how amazing these performances are from one horse. Because even, I want to say War of Will, arguably was the best horse in that sequence of 3 races.
Yeah.
But even if you give War of Will the Kentucky Derby, let's say he was interfered with, let's say he was about to make his run, let's say it was going to be a winning run, which is a lot of conjecture because we don't know that, but let's give him the Derby. Let's go ahead and give him the Derby. He wins the Preakness. And then at the Belmont, where he's certainly the favorite or one of the favorites, he's empty. He had nothing left in the tank at the Belmont. So even if you give him the Derby, which he did not win, he still wasn't coming close to winning the Triple Crown. And it just goes to show you what a superior animal it takes, and everything has to go right on top of that.
Right.
And, maybe we've been spoiled a little because we saw the 2 Triple Crowns bang, bang, bang in succession, but it is so hard to do.
I think it might be the toughest thing in sports. I mean, it certainly would be in the top 3 things in sports. Name another sport that's tough. Yeah, certain thing. The Triple Crown in baseball is hard to do. I think Cabrera did it, and Yastrzemski, and that's like the only 2 guys since '67. But, okay, so that's a tough thing to do. Home runs, RBI, batting average.
Yeah.
But, with the Triple Crown, like you say, because there's even horses that took off from the Derby to the Belmont that didn't fire.
Yeah.
They had that month break almost.
Yeah.
And, it's just so tough to come around and they've never done it and they'll never do it again. Yeah. That's what I love about the Triple Crown. And, think if American Pharaoh hadn't won that in 15.
Yeah.
You say before just I'm not even sure if they would have I think they might have started redrawing up, like redistricting among politicians. They might have said, okay, we're going to finally give that extra week here, an extra week there. I think it was getting close to that.
It really was being discussed a lot. I'm not sure it was seriously being discussed, but certainly it was being thrown around as a topic of conversation that, gee, this thing is too tough. Let's spread it out. Let's shorten the race here and there. And as you well know, the California Chrome guy who said it would never happen again in his lifetime. So,
we checked the obit the next day, and Steve Coburn was still alive.
Yeah, and whether that's a good thing or not is debatable. But
or whether he really is still alive or not. So he's existing.
But then to have it happen twice in 3 years, I mean, you have to tip your hat to Bob Baffert to pull that off. And it really is a difficult thing. And on average, we've been keeping track of this for almost exactly a century, the Triple Crown, and 13 winners. I'll carry the 2. I mean, that's one every 8-something years. Yeah. And, think about if we only had a World Series winner once every 8 years, or a Stanley Cup winner once. It's a big deal when it would happen.
Exactly.
It's a huge deal, and it still will be. And who knows when the next one comes around? It's.
I'm with you. And this. By the way, we're talking to Lenny Shulman. For those watching on YouTube, here's the book, Justify, on sale now. Amazon, bookstores. Where else?
The back of my Kia van.
Call you personally. Yes. We'll be putting Lenny's number up. You can call him.
You see my license plate. If you see it rolling down the road, just honk and we'll do some business out of the back.
What? Is that a yard sale? No, it's a book signing by Lenny. He's right beside the road.
I'll have a cake with me. We'll do a little cake sale with it. Anything to up my share of the profit.
Oh, I saw you at Keeneland. You gave a great speech at Keeneland and telling them a little bit about the book and how it came about and everything. And the copies were flying off the shelf. I think you sold out that night.
It was a great event. Yeah. It was just a week ago. And thank you and your dad so much for
we're
being
big fans.
Part of
we
it.
wouldn't have missed that.
But it was very gratifying. I guess it was the best turnout they've had for their author series at the Keeneland Library. And I didn't even get to taste the shrimp appetizers afterwards because the line was too long for the signing. So, I went a little hungry, but it was worth it. And people were just very kind. I'm not like you. I'm not a natural in front of the camera or in front of people. But so it's good to kind of test yourself and get out there once in a while. But it really went beyond my wildest dreams. It was great.
Sadly, the craft services that were here earlier, the guys, Scott, Ben, and Thomas were hungry. I don't know. I think there might be one shrimp left.
I think they're all gone, Kenny.
They're all gone? Yeah. Next time.
Fortunately, I just came from our favorite Mexican hangout, Marquesas, so
all right.
I'm in great shape at the moment. Don't worry, guys. You can finish it now.
Okay, finish off that shrimp. Cut it 3 ways.
Thanks, Lenny.
It is a jumbo shrimp, so they can pull that. They can pull that off.
But we could have done a TV production at the Keeneland Library. We had you.
Yeah.
Tom Hammond was there.
Who's on our show today, too, by the way.
Is he?
You and Tom Hammond. It doesn't get any better than that.
Fantastic.
I tell you.
And Caton Bradar was
Caton, who's going to be on later on, one of these episodes,
We could have done a whole TV show
It would have been fun.
Yeah, could have set that up.
We could work on that.
Now, is Tom coming into the bunker?
Tom is coming into the bunker.
He is?
Yes. Tom's coming into the bunker.
That is big for you.
Yeah, this is you and Tom. You and Tom, we've never had except for some veterinarians. I said, except for these veterinarians. I love the veterinarians, especially Bob Lynch, who took care of my 2 wonderful golden retrievers for many years. He was wonderful.
We do need our veterinarians.
We need our veterinarians.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we have not had our 2, let's say, independent non-veterinarian guests in here. And you and Tom have once again set the standard,
Wow,
which seems to be appropriate.
Is Tom going to be able to find it?
Yeah, well, I hope so. We
Okay,
got
all right.
we got guys out there with
You
flares.
should have the guys at the corner of Nicholasville Road with the signs with the sandwich board
That's
out.
it.
You know?
Want to be on the horse racing show? No food, but come join us.
That's big. That's a big name, and if I may,
Yes.
I mean Tom is so deserving. He goes into the Hall of Fame this summer,
Yes.
and kudos, very, very well deserved.
Yeah,
That's big stuff.
I tell you, and honestly, you and Tom are my two of my favorite people all time, and just you make it fun to hang around. Everybody I see at the racetrack is not a happy person, even after they've won the race.
It's like stand-up comics. You see these guys after their sets, they're standing there like they're ready to put a razor blade
I'd
on
like
their
to
wrist.
say it was a great horse, and we had his mare, and we had the mommy of the mare, and the mommy's mommy mare, and we're just overwhelmed. Well, thank you. Thank you. Gosh, that's just bringing them in. That's getting those young audiences that they want, isn't it?
I'd like to see them when they're underwhelmed.
Oh. That's why I said, like Jerry Hollendorfer, we spoke of him earlier.
Yeah.
I said, if you're going to suspend a guy, Hollendorfer would probably be the guy. But I'm not knocking Jerry. I'm not here to pass judgment. All I said earlier was I wish there'd been a little more transparency in the release. Specifically, did we talk to him after the first or second death and he refused to do something? That's what I think, Santa, as among the many things they need to be more transparent of. But it's not like Hollendorfer is going to be the guy that's going to assemble the media to start blasting anyone. This is not O'Neill or Baffert or Mandela or, name anybody. Jeff Mullins, who's going to do like bench presses. None of those guys.
Yeah.
Hollendorfer is going to be the most low-key guy to ever be banned.
Yeah, Jerry's an interesting study because he's a gym rat. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody works harder
No.
at the track than he does. And, I think you could argue what his need is to be involved with the inexpensive horses that he is involved in, but just because he has so many that are upper
Right.
echelon that, maybe he needs to reassess his operation. But, yeah, he's not the most approachable man on the backstretch, and I guess if you know him, perhaps, or catch him in a good mood, he will talk, but he really doesn't give you a lot. I'm not sure he knows what the media is, actually.
I remember after Shared Belief won the Pacific Classic, and I'm walking with him to the winner's circle, and he said, "Look, I got to go see my horse." I said, "I know. We're going the same direction. We're on national TV right now. They're going to come to us in like 30 seconds." I have done this with a couple other guys, and let's just talk about your horse. I mean, this is a great performance today.
Yeah.
And so he did, but it wasn't like surly. It really just isn't his thing.
Yeah.
And everybody's not going to be Baffert and Lucas. Matter of fact, there's probably only one Baffert and only one Lucas, and then there's a few other guys that are approachable. Doug O'Neill, I think Pledger in a low key way and all, but Hollendorfer is kind of his own guy.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head. I think before Wayne Lucas came around, that was the norm. These guys they didn't feel it was their job to publicize it. They didn't feel they wanted to talk and give away anything. And then, as more sports became popular and horse racing kind of had to keep up, somebody needed to tell these guys, hey, we need to up the image and up the profile and be telegenic and get this sport across. And I think Wayne and Bob were obviously the guys who kind of brought it into the modern age, but I think Hollendorfer would have been the norm.
Oh yeah,
before that.
Yeah,
time.
he was. Before electricity, he was great. That's an old one, but a good one, isn't it?
Oh, it never fails. Rodney and Caddyshack, right? Hey, you must have been something before electricity.
And Lenny,
would you loofah my back?
you want to make 10 the hard way. Oh, jeez.
Wang, it's a parking lot.
I tell you, Lenny Shulman, by the way, also an Emmy award-winning TV writer. He's been involved in film and in TV, and he's worked with some great comics, and we appreciate a good joke. I don't know if anybody was better than Dangerfield, and that includes a lot of great Borscht Belt guys, and guys certainly had that rapid fire, but Dangerfield's delivery, I guess, and occasionally I'll pull up a YouTube and just watch him. If you're feeling down, just pull up Rodney Dangerfield for like 10 minutes.
It's a rabbit hole. You can't do it for 10 minutes,
No,
unfortunately.
you can't.
That's a rabbit hole that you're not coming out of for 30 or 45 minutes once you go down, but it's worth every minute those old Johnny Carson appearances or whatever. And I don't know if he's doing something or whether he's just natural, but it is just bang, 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 bang. The sweat's coming off.
Yeah.
Again, not a polished performer, but who cares? The guy was unbelievable.
I thought that was just genius.
Yeah.
I think it was just genius what he did. Do you have a favorite comic or a guy? With obviously Dangerfield we both like.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think Dangerfield and probably the guy who he took his delivery from a little bit, which was Henny Youngman. Anybody growing up in New York and Jewish or combination of those two things, there's a big tradition of what they call the Catskill comedians, and Henny Youngman was it. I mean, some of those jokes are just perfect jokes. It's rapid fire. It's the guy goes to the psychiatrist examines him because you're crazy. Guy says, "I want a second opinion. You're ugly too." It's a perfect joke. It's just a perfect joke. You can't improve on it. So I think to me it's Henny Youngman and Rodney probably, and then of course I was privileged enough to work with Andrew Dice Clay when he was at his popular peak, and it's a fun ride to be along for that.
Take my wife, please.
Yeah, it's.
Waiter, there's a fly in my soup. What's he doing? The backstroke. I mean, it's just.
And then Rod, and you can see the progression.
Yeah,
So Rodney is like, my wife's such a bad cook. The flies took up a collection to fix the screen door. I mean, it's just, in our house we pray after we eat.
I grew up in the neighborhood so tough, they inserted the bullets.
Yeah. In the high school yearbook, there were two pictures, front and profile. It was a tough school. It was a tough school. He just said, "Johnny, what comes after a sentence? You're making a peel."
That should be your next book. He's also a novelist, as well as he's written a great book about jockeys. This book, Justify. I'm talking with Lenny Shulman. That could be your next thing.
What's that?
Comic. Write about some great comics. I mean, just because you got great comic timing and you know it. And by the way, I saw A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I didn't recognize Dice Clay till probably 40 minutes into it, maybe his third scene. I went, that guy looks familiar. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, that's Dice Clay.
Yeah. Well, the thing that he never got credit for,
he's a good actor.
You love him, you hate him, whatever.
He's a good actor.
But he's a good actor, and the character he created in his comedy routine is being an actor. And I think people kind of felt like that was who he was, and it's not. But that's anybody.
Yeah.
Rodney's the same way. I mean, Rodney off stage was not yanking this and doing his shtick. Those guys get up there and have an act. It's honed. It's perfect. It's you just got to give them all the credit in the world because that takes a lot of work.
And now I get worn out. And look, I'm not getting political on this thing. I don't care which side you're on the politics world. But like all the late night shows are so political now, and not in the Johnny Carson way where everybody was fair game. I mean, I know the jokes now. And, once you know what the joke's going to be, it's going to be a variation. But you're going into every night, and, there's not social commentary and things. It's just like, I don't know. I don't appreciate that in terms of enjoying it. I get that's their spiel. I get that's what's getting them ratings. But it does seem that we've lost a little bit of creativity and really, and social satire is kind of gone, probably with political correctness.
Well, I think we've lost a little bit of the escapism.
Yeah.
It's a little too real. And let's face it, the hardest thing in the world these days is to be a fiction writer because you can't create something that's any more whacked out than reality is. So really. I don't know as a fiction writer how far out you have to go to create, a fictional world at this point.
I think now we've learned, David Mamet, I think, did, right? Wag the Dog turned out to be a true story, apparently. Did you remember Wag the Dog?
Right.
That was Mamet, wasn't it, Scott?
I think so.
Okay, you're my.
We're gonna look.
Scott worked in L.A. I asked him that for like 15 years, so he worked in the film industry. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to see Mamet plays around Los Angeles when I worked there.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Glenn Glary.
Yeah, one of my favorite interviews that I did long ago. I wish I had the tape of it. It was for a Breeders' Cup newsfeed where I interviewed Don Amici on the apron Santa Anita. He passed not several months after that, but he'd done a movie that one of my favorite Mamet movies, Things Change, with Joe Mantegna, where he's protecting him. He's identical to a mob hit guy, to the mob kingpin actually, and they're taking him. He's going to be a witness, and he's a shoe guy. He just wants to make shoes, and they take him to Tahoe, I believe. It's a terrific movie. Things Change. Yeah. Somebody's just tuning in and going, Lenny and Kenny, they don't talk about horses. Why they call it a horse racing show?
Let me bring it back then.
Thank you, please. Don Amici owned horses.
Don Amici's grandson is a thoroughbred owner.
He's a thoroughbred owner,
who just called me a couple of weeks ago. I'd done a story on him years ago. He had some okay horses, some decent horses. And he called and said, hey, we got another horse who his name is Bethlehem Road. He just ran the Ohio Derby the other day, ran fourth, I think. Had won a stake at Parks, I believe, recently. But this is a horse as a baby. They brought him in from the field one day, and he's like staggering, and he's leaning over, and they couldn't find what he had a tumor in his inner ear that took months to I don't know. Too bad the vets aren't here. But it took a long time.
They're on call. Hold on, we'll get them in here before you leave.
And they finally got him right, although he's still got a floppy ear, and they couldn't sell him as a yearling, so they had to keep him. And he became a stakes winner for Don Amici III. Yes.
The thing I loved about Mr. Amici, talking with him, and he's up there. We're standing at the apron one morning early, and he's pointing up there to where, like, Ty Power and I used to sit up there, and Betty Grable would stop by, and Fred Astaire would stop by, and then the golden era, they're having their drinks, smoking their cigarettes, watching, not soccer, watching horse racing. Yeah. Because that was America.
It's too bad we don't have those A-listers. I think that would go so far in bringing some popularity back to horse racing is, getting some really popular, actors and singers involved.
And you kind of thought after Seabiscuit maybe, but as it turned out, maybe not. They didn't. You kind of thought that Toby Maguire was going to show up, and everybody's going to show up and present trophies, and actually it was Stuart Janney's cousin, Allison Janney, who later became an Academy Award winner herself. That was there. She has shown up quite a bit. She's a very tall lady. Very tall, very nice, very, very striking. I didn't
realize she was related.
I believe she's Stuart Janney's cousin. Oh, don't quote me on that, on the bloodline. Now I got to look it up. But yeah, they're a relationship there somewhere.
But yeah, that would be great if we could kind of meld the popular culture into there a little bit more.
It would. I think that's good because racing. Look, there's always that thing about racing that the Runyon-esque characters all the way up through Hollywood. Look at all the Hollywood movies that had some kind of racing theme. If they weren't even a racing movie, they had. And I remember NYPD Blue, and you've worked with David Milch.
Yes.
I think in the very first one, they go to an OTB, and Milch had Gilded Time is in the video. It's on the monitor. His Gilded Time, a horse that he owned that was a 2-year-old champ, is walking in the post parade or something, right?
Yeah, and one of the characters he created, if I was Rick Schroeder's character in NYPD Blue, was named Danny Sorensen, which of course is the name of a jockey out in California. So I think David's thrown a lot of things like that into his work. Yeah,
I remember it in the movie Let It Ride, my favorite horse racing movie. As you know, I've talked about Let It Ride. Trevor Denman in the movie is doing the public address, and he pages Mel Studi. You remember that Mel Studi pick up the phone, or something like that. So I asked him once, I said, so Mel Studi, because they bring him in. I think people know that. They bring him in. He's not like on the set every day with Dreyfuss and David Johansen and everybody. They bring him in. They set him down to give him a script. Here, say this, say this, say this. So he says, he said, I don't know. Said, who you want? Howard Koch was a producer. And he goes, who do you want? I don't know. He said, just do a bunch of pages, some horse people. He goes, just Mel Studi. Just say Mel. He goes, and people should know Mel Studi is like a great, legendary California trainer. He and his brother both out there, the Studis, Warren and Mel. And I guess Koch told Trevor, just say, he said, well, you think Mel would object? He said, I've been giving him money for years to train my horses. Say his name. It's okay. So that's how Mel Studi got paged in Let It Ride.
And, of course, Howard Koch is the grandfather of Billy, who
Billy.
runs Little Red
Little
Feather,
Red Feather
who
Stable.
would be great on the show.
We're going
if
to
he
try to
hasn't
get
been.
him on, who actually probably as joyous a celebration as I've seen in a winner's circle is when they won a Breeders' Cup race.
Singletary.
With Singletary.
Yes.
I mean, that was just the people that watched Singletary when he played for the Bears and made tackles didn't cheer as loudly as these guys did.
And I had that. It so happens I was covering the mile that day as a Lone Star. And so I was hanging with those guys a little bit, and you're right, just the pure joy. That should be the advertisement for bringing new people into the game, because those guys had the time of their lives and a ton of success since, but I guarantee you none of them have forgotten Singletary that day.
They won't.
And the party that happened. And Don Chatlos is actually still around.
That's right. I forgot
New
about
York.
Don. Yeah.
He might have Hollendorfer's string in New York, as a matter of fact.
It looks that way.
Right?
Yeah,
so
it looks that way.
He disappeared. He was the trainer of Singletary, and he went away for a long time, and now he's back a little bit. Yeah.
I wish we could just go on and on.
Oh, we can.
Okay, I guess we can. This will be the after show. Remember that, like where you get the best.
Yeah, the film.
Where you get the best.
Yeah.
I always want to, I love to go to a movie and then I leave the movie and then the movie's like re-released like 6 months later with the real good scenes, the scenes that we didn't put in the first time you paid $15 for it, or the DVDs coming out with the real good stuff now.
The director's cut.
The director's cut.
Outtakes, the afterbirth.
Yeah. The book is a great one. If you just like to read a good book, Justify is the book that I would recommend this summer. And certainly if you're into horse racing or into sports, I love the many layers and how you just keep bringing it together and showing from the farm to the sales ring and all that. Just so much. It's like a history lesson in horse racing. I really mean that. And congratulations.
Thank you so much, Kenny. And thank you for all you've done to help it along.
That's why we're here in the bunker, Lenny. We're going to save horse racing in spite of itself.
Bunker is not just for Archie.
Hey, those were the days. More of the horse racing show coming up.